Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the news briefing this Wednesday, June 24th. Our sheriff's office has several special units within the office that are designated for unique needs, and one of those units is the Agricultural Crimes Unit. Considering the importance of agriculture in our county, crimes against these operations could have a major impact on both the county and these operations. We're going to talk about that special unit today. We're very pleased to have Detective Mark Lilga. He's with the Monterey County Sheriff's Office, and he is with this unit, and he's going to tell us more about their work. Hi, Mark.
Hello, good afternoon.
Thank you for being here. I'm wondering if we can see you, if you can turn your camera on.
I'm actually out in the field right now doing some more investigating, so I'm actually not able to turn on my camera right now, but I'm happy to talk to you.
Great. Can you tell us about this special unit and the work that you do?
So I'm part of the Agricultural Crime Unit, which we investigate crimes that are involving anything agriculture related as far as produce or livestock. It's a big industry in this county, as most would know. It's about $4 or $5 billion industry with all the agricultural products that we have in this county. So we investigate anything from equipment theft, which could be tractors or small equipment such as generators, fuel theft, and then we've also had a rash of copper wire theft due to copper wire prices being high right now. So we've had a bunch of cases for copper wire theft that we've been investigating as well.
People may not think that agricultural crime is more serious than perhaps other crimes, but some of the equipment that is used is very high value. So really some of the crimes that you investigate are a big hit for some of these operations.
That's correct. A lot of the tractors that get stolen in the county, they can be anywhere from $100,000 to $300,000 or more, depending on what it is. We recently did a investigation for a skid steer tractor that was stolen, and while we were recovering that, we recovered a stolen forklift and a stolen porta potty bathroom trailer, and there was about $300,000 worth of equipment that we recovered during that investigation.
And inquiring minds will just want to know, how can somebody make off with equipment of that size? Because some of the equipment you're describing is very large. And I'm sure that's part of your knowledge and understanding about how these types of crimes take place.
That's correct. A lot of the equipment is very large. Generally, if they're not driven off-site to another location that's somewhat nearby, they'll usually bring a trailer in and take it by trailer to another location, which could be anywhere in our county or even outside the county. We continue to investigate crimes even outside of Monterey County, because a lot of the agricultural communities are combined or connected between Monterey County and other counties, such as over in the valley. So we actually work with the investigators in other counties a lot. We're part of the California Crime Prevention Task Force, so we communicate with them a lot regarding theft, because things tend to move from one county to another.
Is there information you can give to, or that you do give to operators, about how to safeguard their equipment? Maybe putting locators on them, or, like I said, if your large piece of equipment just can't be easily moved from one place to another, it has to stay where it is and is vulnerable.
Correct. Best case, if they can put it in a enclosed yard, which is fenced off, that's best case, but sometimes that's not possible, just depending on the size of equipment and the different fields that they operate in throughout the county. So we suggest cameras if possible, such as security cameras on buildings if they have it in a yard. Also trail cameras. They could be just regular trail cameras that collect the footage and you have to download it later, or even cellular ones that send the video immediately to your phone or your computer. And then we also recommend putting trackers on equipment that is easily movable, such as tractors and trailers.
So given the importance of agriculture, and you were describing that a little earlier in our discussion, where would you place your ag crime unit in the full complement of all the units and all the, the sheriff's department has a lot of units, does a lot of patrolling, has a lot of area of patrol. Where do the ag crime unit fall into place?
Um, it's part of our property crimes unit, so we are within the property crimes, which a lot of the property crimes in the county is actually ag related somehow.
And then would you say that the ag crimes unit is kind of plays an is more important? Because I know you've got like there are a variety of special units. And do you get feedback from operations and operators and growers who, want, really happy to see you or maybe, want more help from you?
We actually do stay in pretty good communications with the farmers in the county. We go to the regular Farm Bureau meetings and speak with them about any issues they're having and anything that we have going on that we can help them be aware of so that they know what crimes are being committed currently, so they know what to watch out for and how to hopefully prevent them. So we do communicate with them regularly, and we also have a open line of communication between them as far as if they see something that they think that needs to be reported, they'll contact us and we can look into it further. And we have pretty open communication with them as far as if we need to get a hold of them about something that we believe is going on one of their farms that they may not even know about.
So you talked a little bit about that open communication, and you also mentioned the copper wire case that you were just working on. Is that what's kind of trending for ag crimes right now, or is there something else?
There's a mix of stuff going on right now. There's the copper wire theft, which is going on around the state, I think, with the price of copper. There's also fuel theft due to the cost of fuel right now. A lot of the farms have remote fuel sites where the fuel is sitting in a tank. So we've had a rash of those thefts, and we made a recent arrest on that. And then there's always equipment thefts, whether it's a tractor or a trailer or some other type of equipment like a generator, or just smaller tools.
I'm glad you brought up the fuel theft because that, if people are paying more at the pump, so are the operators. So if there's someone who thinks that they've had a crime or they have concerns, how do they contact the ag crime unit?
They can get it hold of us through the sheriff's office. If they have something that's ag related, they can ask to speak with a ag crimes detective, and then we can get connected with them and figure out what they have going on.
Mark, thank you so much for talking about this unit. There are so many aspects of the sheriff's office we don't know about, and those specialty units really play an important role for this industry. Really appreciate your time, especially since you're out in the field working.
Absolutely. The job just never ends, so we're constantly busy.
Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
So on to our next topic today. Funds have been carved out from this year's very tight county budget to connect directly with those in need, focusing on homeless street outreach in unincorporated Monterey County. How will this all work? Well, we're going to talk about this project with our Homeless Services Director, Roxanne Wilson. Roxanne, thanks for being here. Tell us more about this project, which got money at a very tight time for the county.
Indeed. So as mentioned, the Board of Supervisors allocated about $250,000 to our office to develop a focused homeless outreach response for communities and encampment areas that often fall outside of city-based services. So while there are existing outreach teams doing very important work throughout the region, many of those teams are also responsible for serving unincorporated areas. So as you can imagine, the county is very large in land mass, and these very small teams are being pulled in multiple directions. So this is a huge win for us. It allows us to focus on unincorporated areas and really be intentional and provide specific services to people who are living and sheltered in places like Carmel Valley, Pajaro, and Castroville. The goal of this special street outreach team is to meet people where they are. Unincorporated areas are often very far away from where services exist. So this team would be able to transport people to shelters, to appointments with their to doctor's appointments or appointments with the Department of Social Services, and also be more consistent, because outreach itself is not just one-time contact. You could imagine an individual who's living outside and has been out there for a long time. Sometimes they do develop trust issues. So it requires consistent engagement, relationship building, and a lot of practical problem solving with individuals who are living in pretty complex and unsafe conditions. This will also help us understand the needs of people that are specifically living in unincorporated areas. As we all know, the city of Salinas has a lot of programs and services within it, but for a person who is living in San Ardo, that can be very complicated for them. So we're very excited about this opportunity and the trust that the board has instilled in us to dig deeper and try to get folks connected.
So I'm wondering if you could tell me, how are you going to target, decide how you're going to target areas? Are there known areas that you just know there are people there, but you just haven't been able to get to those locations and find out what they need?
Well, there's multiple ways that we know. The first one is that our office receives community complaints through the Monterey County's UConnect system. So individuals who are living in unincorporated areas of the county can download our app, and there is a drop-down menu that says they report an encampment. As soon as they report that encampment, it automatically notifies our office, and we immediately start working with a group of service providers in different county departments to see what's going on. As it stands now, we deploy an outreach team that the county is already funding. However, that, as I mentioned earlier, that outreach team is serving the entire county. So if they're in King City 2 days in a row, getting to Pajaro can take some time. So that's the first way that we're able to identify. The second way that we identify is every 2 years, the Coalition of Homeless Services Providers, as the lead agency for the continuum of care, is responsible for doing what's called the homeless point in time count, oftentimes referenced as the PIT. Although that information on where the encampments were identified through that process is not public, I am privy to that information because of our position and how we fund and coordinate with the coalition to do the PIT. We are also a part of several conversations. We often work with different jurisdictions, including the state of California. We're mostly aware where people are living in general, and we continue to build out a robust communication system so community and individuals who had noticed an encampment and maybe wants to deploy some resources to help them can do so.
So this reminds me a little bit of the navigation center, except it's a navigation center on wheels. Where if people are able to go to a navigation center, they can go there, they can live there, they can be fed, they can get services. You're having to take this service on the road, essentially, to people who aren't going to get these services really any other way. Would that be a good way to describe it?
That is correct. As I mentioned before, services are so consolidated in specific cities, which is wonderful for people who are living in those cities. And that's where the vast majority of people who are unsheltered actually live. But unfortunately, there are people in unincorporated areas who are being left out of these equations. So we're just bridging that gap.
And I'm also wondering if you can tell me a little bit more about the outreach team that goes out, kind of what are the services that are in their skill set, and what are they looking for when, they never know what they're going to walk into, but, what are they anticipating each time they go out?
Generally, when an outreach team is just doing regular outreach outside of when a county or a jurisdiction is deploying them, they're doing what we call as relationship and rapport building, because as I mentioned, there's a lot of trust issues that exist with individuals who have been disparaged for extended periods of time. So when they're out there, sometimes it's just as small as offering somebody some water or finding out that they have a doctor's appointment and they have no way to get there, so giving them a bus ticket to get them there. Over time, those relationships develop, and when you get to the point where you have a whole picture of this individual and all of the issues that they are experiencing, then that's when the outreach team starts developing a plan with this individual. Sometimes people are stuck here and they want to go back home to wherever they came from. So the outreach team would then try to identify a resource so we can get this individual back to their family from wherever they came from. Or if a good example is sometimes they'll come across people who look really sick. And if it wasn't for the outreach team, no one would have known to call 911 to get this individual into the hospital. So it is literally bringing services on the road and meeting people where they are.
So you've got this team working right now with this augmentation. When will you be able to, go more places, do more things? Is this going to start right away?
We are currently working on drafting a contract. We are looking at augmenting an existing team, adding more people, and I keep calling them the special ops team because they're really going to be working closely with my office because we are clearly responsible for unincorporated areas. That's our jurisdiction. So essentially, one of my staff members would have a very close relationship with them, and we just met with this organization yesterday to talk about our vision and the expectation, honestly. I want a lot of reporting. I want to know how many people have they spoken to? What were the outcomes? Did they get connected to shelter? Did you help them get their Medi-Cal benefits? We need to demonstrate that there is a need outside of regular offices and that there is a benefit for us going directly into encampments.
Can you tell us what county staff and what providers are going out, maybe who's going out now, and then the type of people or the organization that you're going to be working with to expand this?
I want to be careful because I have to go to board and get that approved before, but I can tell you who's working on it now. Interim Inc. is an organization that is funded by Monterey County Behavioral Health. And it's exactly what it sounds like. They work on getting people connected to the behavioral health system. There is Access Support Network that does a multitude of things. They do harm reduction out there. They have a contract with Department of Social Services to do field-based case management. They also have a contract to do street medicine, Hep C testing. Access Support Network definitely does a lot of work in this area. And of course, there's a youth-specific outreach team. They are managed by Community Human Services, and they're just looking for people under the age of 25 years old, because that is a very special subpopulation in the homeless. In the grand scheme of things, it takes a different type of skill. People who become homeless at a very young age have different types of barriers that they need to overcome. So Community Human Services does an incredible job there. And then, of course, Salinas, the city themselves, has their SORT outreach team, and they focus only on the city of Salinas.
Roxanne, thanks you so much for talking about this. We're really looking forward to hearing about the results, what people are finding. And it really adds another accomplishment in a lot of the things that we have been able to do at the county. It's not always about housing. It's about you have so many different prongs that you're trying to poke into the bear, as it were.
That is correct. Thank you so much for this opportunity to talk about it. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And now on to our last topic, last but not least. If you are looking for, if somebody is not muted, so I'm going to ask if somebody could mute themselves because I'm getting a lot of feedback. If you're looking for a staycation or a vacation that's close to home, look no further than Southern Monterey County. We have got lakes, we have got parks, but what you may not know, who knows why you don't know it, but we have a fantastic museum down in Southern Monterey County that celebrates not only our history, but our agricultural roots. So we're going to talk about this fantastic trip you can take to South County and what you can see. We're very pleased to have with us Bryan Flores. He's our chief of parks. So he's going to talk a little bit about the park option. We also have Teri Stowell. She is the executive director of the Monterey County Agriculture and Rural Life Museum, which is just a jewel of a museum for locals. Thank you both for being here very much. I'm wondering if you can talk about really how the museum and how the parks really all come together. And I'll let you choose who'd like to start.
Sure. I'll jump in here, Teri. So, thank you, Maya. San Lorenzo Park is it's a unique park out of our park system in that it actually has a museum and some historical buildings. It is part of the park. We also have a campground there at the park that has both improved campsites for RVs and trailers as well as tent camping. It's close access to the river, playgrounds. But really the jewel of San Lorenzo Park, other than just the beauty of it, with all the sycamore and oak trees and poplar trees, is the Agricultural Rural Life Museum, or McCarlum, as we call it. It's a lot easier to say than the tongue twister. But this museum hosts just, hundreds of field trips a year from our local schools as well as out of area schools. It talks about our agricultural and rural roots of Monterey County. So there's a lot of farm implements, a lot of unique items from years past that people can explore. It's a really great interactive museum, but the San Lorenzo Park it's just a great park. It's kind of tucked out of the way. A lot of people don't know about it. I will admit, I had never been to San Lorenzo Park until I came into county parks a number of years ago. And once I did, it's like, why have I never been here before? It's such a beautiful park. It's trees. There's probably more shade than there is sunny areas at San Lorenzo Park. And on a hot summer day, you definitely need that. But I'll go ahead and hand it off to Teri to discuss the McCarlum Museum as well as all the activities and events that they plan throughout the year.
Awesome. Thanks, Bryan. And then I was wondering, could I share my screen?
Absolutely.
All right, let me go ahead and share this. All right. All right, so the Monterey County Agricultural and Rural Life Museum has been an amazing place to grow up visiting. As I was a kid, it's been here since the early 1980s, but it is, like Bryan said, definitely a hidden gem. It's located here in King City, just right off of Highway 101. It's a great stop. We get a lot of people going from San Francisco to LA that choose to make us a regular stop on their trip. We have a lot of things going on here. Like you said, a lot of educational programming. We offer private tours, and then we're open to the public from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So come on down. We have tour guides. And we actually, to call us a museum is a little bit of a misnomer. We're actually 7 individual museums in one spot. So our main barn is a replica dairy barn, and that hosts the history of the entirety of Monterey County's agriculture and rural history, from indigenous peoples all the way up through crop dusters. You can really walk through a timeline of the Salinas Valley. We also have our History of Irrigation Museum, which people sometimes go, whole museum about sprinklers? No, if you know anything about the history of the Salinas Valley, you know that irrigation completely changed the valley from dry crops and cattle and dairy farming to the salad bowl of the world. So this is it's our newest museum, and it's one that you don't want to miss if you're visiting the park and the museum complex. And then we have our crowd favorite, Flores Schoolhouse, originally located 3 miles outside of Gonzales. It's set up and ready for you to step back into history and experience a day in the life of a student in the 1800s. And then we have our Olson Blacksmith Shop. So on any given Sunday throughout the summer, you can stop by between 11 and 3 and check out our blacksmith and one of his many apprentices working in the blacksmith shop, bringing history to life. And we also have the Spreckles House, originally located in Spreckles, California, built by the Spreckles Sugar Beet Factory as employee housing. We've just recently renovated the garden to turn it back into a turn-of-the-century garden, what they would have had at the time. So it's almost two exhibits in one, the interior of the home, which is fully restored to its original glory, and the garden. And then you can't Depot, originally referred to as King Station. It used to sit at the end of Broadway here in King City where the clock tower now sits. And it is just amazing to step back in time and to learn about how people made that migration out west. And then the upper portion is also available as a rental space for events through the Monterey County's website. We also have our tractor barn and tractor road. The tractor barn just recently got a reorganization and 3 new additions on loan, a new Titan, a new McCormick Deering, and a new Chalmers. And I use the term new lightly. They're new to us, but they are nearing 100 years old. And of course, like Bryan said, this park is really like no other. It is absolutely gorgeous. The perfect place for a picnic. Let's see. And then picnic and day use, you can go to the county website and reserve picnic spaces. And then there's also day use. Admission to the park is free, and so is parking. And the museum is also free to visit, which is amazing. We've got 2 playgrounds here, public restrooms, lots of great things for you. And then, of course, there is the camping that Bryan mentioned before, which is just phenomenal. And then we do, like I said, and like Bryan mentioned, offer a ton of educational programs. That's going to be expanding over the next few years as well. But if you know any teachers or educators that would like to bring a group out, you can visit our website and book your tours online. Our educational program is free to the public. And we do have a lot of fun here at McCarlum. We have lots of great events that we host throughout the year to help showcase the park and the museum and raise funds for restoration projects and educational programming. You'll see we've got our annual murder mystery dinner, our haunted hayride that happens the Saturday before Halloween every year, where we share local stories brought to life. We have our annual clam chowder feed. This year we had a USO theme. Our interns researched the effects of World War I and World War II on agricultural and rural life here in Monterey County. And so they were able to create an exhibit for that. And that's actually still on display for a limited time here at the main exhibit barn. You'll see we also offer gold panning. You can catch that this 4th of July as your next opportunity to do so. And then over here in the right column, you'll see lots of 4th of July events. We participate with our antique tractor collection in the 4th of July parade here in King City. And then we host Valley Heritage Days, which is a fun-filled family day. I have to check my notes. We have so many things going on. We have our kids zone with the traditional potato sack race and egg on a spoon and all those watermelon eating contest, all that fun stuff. We've got some live music this year. We have delicious food, tons of food vendors coming out. Whatever your taste is, we've got something for you. This year we're introducing our adult dodgeball tournament. That's guaranteed to be a lot of fun and a lot of laughs. We of course have our car show and our tractor show featuring lots of local and not so local hot rods, stock vehicles, and antique tractors. We have our blacksmith, our gold panning. This year we're hosting a quilt show by our South County Quilt Guild. That'll be in the La Gloria Schoolhouse. And we'll also have performances by our local folklorico dancers. So it's really a day that you don't want to miss here at San Lorenzo Park and the Monterey County Agricultural and Rural Life Museum. And some things we have coming up next. We're reorganizing our tractor row. We've got new signage going up all over the park, helping to better interpret our artifacts. We're working on a documentary on the cattle industry in Monterey County that'll be debuting in January. And we're just constantly rotating exhibits and hosting events. So I hope that you'll follow us on Facebook and Instagram and check out our website. Thank you.
Teri, thank you so much for walking us through the whole park. I think for people who have not been to the park, they really don't know the volume. And if you weren't interested in irrigation before you got to the park, you will be interested in irrigation when you get done at the park, because if you've never seen the beginning and end of irrigation, that aspect of the park is just a real eye opener, and you so appreciate when you eat vegetables or you make a salad that irrigation made that all happen. I'm wondering if you can also talk a little bit more about the educational programs, because there are a lot of families who may look at the park as just a fantastic full day. And if you have sons that like fire, the blacksmith shop is really the place to be, right?
Absolutely. So we are really a one-stop shop. If you wanted to bring a camper down, you could actually take a couple days to go through the entire park and all 7 of the museums. The blacksmith demonstrations are always a hit. There's just something so amazing about being in there and seeing the fire going and watching them turn just a piece of metal into something beautiful. And we sell a lot of those items in our gift shop as well. The handmade barbecue turners and amazing creations that they put together there. But with the 7 different museums, you can go online and book your tours for them and really create an immersive experience. We've had a lot of people who were like, I just finished reading Little House on the Prairie with my kids, and now I'm bringing them here and showing them the schoolhouse and showing them the Spreckles house and giving them that immersive experience. We have our 4th grade jamboree that we do every year where we take kids back into the gold rush. So when you reach out to us online to book, let us know what you're interested or what your kids have been studying in school, and we can definitely customize your tours to meet those educational goals.
And then Bryan, could you also add to that about camping and RV camping at San Lorenzo? Because if people wanted to go down for the weekend, they can actually stay at San Lorenzo and, do more than one day at these museums.
Yeah. So we do have the campground. I want to say there's about 30-ish improved sites with RV hookups ranging between 30 and 50 amps. And then 30 or 40, more rustic campsites, I guess you'd say, with a picnic table and water, with no utilities. And then we actually have an overflow camping area also that gets heavily used by trailers and horse trailers and things like that during Fair Week, down in King City for the Salinas Valley Fair. We have it within the campground, which is, shaded. So on those hot, 90, 100-degree days, you have plenty of shade, may or may not need to run your AC. There's a little fish pond that we've rehabilitated over the years, has lots of koi and goldfish in it and all kinds of aquatic plants. There's a small little putting green if people want to bring their clubs and do some putting on the green. Can't chip or hit long balls or anything like that in the rest of the park, but you can do the putting green. We also have a butterfly pollinator garden behind the campground that the Rotarians and county parks put in about 4 years ago, maybe. That looks wonderful this time of year. So many butterflies and pollinating insects and lots of blooming flowers. We're also, thanks to Measure AA funding, we're going to be replacing all the 2 playgrounds that are there. We're also going to be installing a splash pad water play area, as well as doing a bunch of tree work and signage. The city of King City is getting ready to do a roundabout at near the entrance to the park. Once that roundabout is complete, we'll have a new entry area and dress the park up. And there's also most of the historic buildings you can rent out for birthday parties, special engagements, things like that, including the Irrigation Museum. We have agencies and organizations rent that out for their board meetings at night. It's a very nice interior. Also, the train depot gets rented out for, weddings and, birthday parties and things like that. And then, of course, we have the Deanza building, which is a large building with a large outdoor seating area, can accommodate about 300-400 people. But it's just a great park, just to kind of get lost in and explore. And, the campground, I'd say, even middle of our peak season, you could come down during the middle of the week or a Thursday night or something and probably find a camp spot or two. So, but on the weekends, it does get pretty busy. So yeah, it's great. And I just have to say that, most of the exhibits are owned by the county. There's some out on loan. There's some that McCarlum owns, but McCarlum is the nonprofit entity that runs the museum complex for the county of Monterey. We have a concession agreement with them. And so through, it's a more of a benevolent organization for them. Nobody gets paid, things like that. Teri does as the general manager and museum director, but all the board members, all of this stuff gets done on a volunteer basis. And so it's a really great partnership. I'm very happy that Teri's there and that we're able to keep going with this relationship with McCarlum, and just to bring something unique to the county. There's nowhere else in the county that has this, these museums where kids can learn about where their food comes from, where their food came from a long time ago, why there's ice, why is the iceberg lettuce called iceberg lettuce, and how ice changed the history of farming in the Salinas Valley, and then the irrigation, and like you stated. But yeah, it's just a great place to learn, but in a fun environment. Yeah.
And one last question for Teri. A lot of teachers are on summer break right now, but they may be looking next year, and especially if they're in South County and the drive isn't far, what can you offer school districts if they'd like to do a field trip down to the museums?
Oh, yes. So we have right on our website, they can go on and book their school field trips. All the field trips are free, so they can bring their classes in. We have classes from all over Monterey County that visit us, and we're always open to more. And a great thing that's coming forward through a partnership with the Ag Commissioner is we're going to actually be able to go to schools as well. So keep your eyes open for a menu for K through 5th grade, some new improved field trips that'll be coming their way this fall, and they can reach out to us and get those booked.
And then finally, people need to know where to find you, and it's easy off the freeway. Bryan, give us directions.
So if you are Teri probably knows better, but I believe it's Broadway exit in both north and southbound directions. There are brown San Lorenzo Park signs, the roadside signs that Caltrans uses. So there are brown directional signs. And if you go right to the intersection of Broadway and it's the cross street, Teri.
San Antonio.
Thank you, San Antonio, and hang a left into the park. You'll see the entrance sign. It's a wooden entrance sign, says San Lorenzo Park with some beautiful landscaping around it. But it's not difficult to find. It's just outside city limits. You can actually see it when you go across the 101 bridge. You can see the grass and the trees and things like that. But you got to get off the highway to get to it.
Thank you both for being here and sharing about the museum and about the parks. We just love museums, and of course we love our parks.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, ma'am.
And thanks everyone for joining us on the news briefing this week. Our next briefing is next week. We'll see you then.